Hello Facebook friends, you can never guess where I am today. This morning I am wandering around. It's an open morning for people who would like to volunteer for the new Weymouth Museum here at Brewers Quay. There we are. Hope you can hear me okay. As I say, tonight, today I am at the museum at Brewers Quay, the Weymouth Museum. It's due to open fairly soon. I'm at a volunteer open meeting, so people can come and volunteer for their places here. So this morning I am talking to
Pauline Carter.
Let me just get the camera around. There we are. Pauline Carter.
Yes, I'm the volunteer coordinator at the museum. I came in as a volunteer about 12 years ago, worked in the local history department, and it's grown like Topsy, really.
Right, so today we are here for the volunteer.
It's a coffee morning. Through the South West Museum Federation, we have training sessions, and this is something that one of the other museums in Devon had tried, which is you circulate. Margaret and I circulated 100 leaflets each around the museum. And because they're the people, if they have got any spare time, they just need to have 3 hours weekly for us to be a steward. You're likely to attract them to come into the museum because it's easy. So normally I have a library morning. I'm going to have a library morning. I'm also going to be at Asda because we're now looking to the future. So it's not only about stewardship or stewarding the museum, it is about getting new recruits on board that will take us into the new museum. So we're looking for slightly younger volunteers, not so much grey hair really, and things like collection care during this 3-year period before the new museum comes online. We will need to go through all the collections to check what we've got against a digital record that we have, and to prepare ideas for the displays, because obviously these are displays that were either in the old museum and were just transferred over and we're just adding to them to try and breathe some new life in them. But also we want people who might like to come in and do events for us, not massive events, but I like to have a Roman day, and it's getting people in who would enjoy doing that sort of thing. So that's like a commitment, about 3 items a year. And then on the local history side, we do have quite a lot of information in our archive, and it's people to answer inquiries. So there's a lot more than just being stewards, but if we don't have stewards, the museum can't open, and that's really important. And we want to put more of a face out in the community, because you can ask people who have been born in Weymouth, where's Weymouth Museum? And they will say, we never knew that there was a museum here. And that really is very bad news for us. But it gets confused. The museum gets very confused with the time walk, because they started life together and then they were split until we became Weymouth Museum.
Hello, I'm Marcia Hedden. I'm the chair of Weymouth Museum Trust, and I'm passionate about the thought of Weymouth having a local museum. It's vitally important for our community, for our children, for visitors, and for the residents that we know about our heritage, that we preserve our heritage, and we have a dedicated space in which to do that. We're here today because we have a morning when we are encouraging people to come to act as volunteers and stewards in our museum. We are at the moment in temporary premises, but from 2020 we will have a purpose-built museum within the Brewers Quay complex here, and that will be state-of-the-art. We are in the process of applying for a Heritage Lottery Fund bid. We're very heavily involved with that. We've appointed our consultants to help us to write the bid, and that will provide the layout, the interpretation of the artefacts within the museum and the community. Because it's also important that we don't just see the museum as the building here. It is the heritage around us, and we want to link our museum with the things in the town, with the coal for the cannonball, with the Tudor house, with the Buxton Memorial up on Bincleave's Head. All of those things and a town trail need to be linked to our museum. We hold the artefacts, and obviously it's delightful to see what we have got here. And we are in a building that itself has tremendous heritage because of having been the Devonish and the Groves Brewery in Hope Square, in the old part of what was Melcombe Regis.
Right, so can we go on a little tour of what we've got here so far?
Yeah, certainly. Here we've got a display actually about the brewery. These people, this building was originally the Groves, and this was the bit that we're in now was the Groves end of the brewery. And Devonish came and joined them in the 1820s. They took over the other part of the building. There were two breweries. The Devonish family are absolutely fascinating, huge benefactors to the town, as indeed were the Groves. Sidney Groves, where the old Sidney Hall, his son died, and in memory of his son, that hall was dedicated, now obviously demolished, but the artefact is there of the bit that was over the front of it, in front of the current the big shopping centre, supermarket that is there. But these two brewers were very, very influential in the town. Devonish giving homes which are still occupied by residents here, and Groves, as I say, a huge fund, the Sidney Groves Fund, which is used. So they are very, very important, and they're vats for the building. And in the new museum, there will be a special part dedicated to brewing.
Are you going to still have the engine?
I think so, yes, I think so. There's been a bit of discussion. It's got to be moved, but we're anticipating that we will.
It's always a favourite of mine.
Oh, good. Yes, certainly. And there's lots of artefacts, obviously, about brewing here and all sorts of things.
I remember when I first moved down here 30-odd years ago, you could smell the hops.
You could indeed, yes. Yes, I remember those
Wednesday,
days well too.
Tuesday or Wednesday.
Yes, brewing, yes,
wonderful.
it was. Fascinating. And it's really interesting to listen to the stories of people who worked in the breweries, generation after generation, You have some elderly gentleman and saying, oh, of course, my father worked in the brewery and his father before him. And they were very, very good to their employees, there's no doubt about that. So, an important part. Transport, very important over here too. Very, very vital to Weymouth. Obviously, the harbour, and there's quite a lot of things. Maritime as a whole is very important to Weymouth and Portland, because obviously you have the harbour for the commercial traffic, but nearby, of course, you had Portland with the naval base, with, of course, all the ships, and when the Fleet Review was in, it spread across, all right, Portland Harbour, but from Weymouth as well. So we have got quite a lot of work here about harbour, and the harbour tramway, which was very important for the links with the Channel Islands, the tomato boats and potatoes backwards and forwards, and flowers at one time, backwards and forwards. So we have a lot about that, and then we have stuff about the train. When the train came, the Weymouth bits, we even have the destination Weymouth from one of the trains, from Tin Dorset there, and we have a lot of work and a lot of maps and things about the development of the Park District, because obviously the Park District developed as a direct, well, not as a direct result, but it did develop during that time. It's worth saying that as well as the artefacts, we have got a local history unit. And that local history unit holds a lot of the archives of Weymouth and Portland. And people send in inquiries, and our team here work looking at that. And they go back a very, very long way. So that's a very important part of the museum, which the community use quite extensively. There is no doubt about that one. Here we have got a Civil War musket. We are in the process of just setting up some stuff here about the Civil War, because obviously this is not the finished museum.
No.
We don't open until March, and so there's a lot of display work going on at the moment, and setting up of displays, and we're about to start here on Civil War belongings, because of course Crabchurch weekend is important to Weymouth, and that our opening coincides with Crabchurch weekends. And we have Professor Ronald Hutton, who is the expert on the Civil War, coming down. Actually, he's going to open the museum. So, yes.
I remember reading the Dreadnought hoax. Are you going to have anything about that?
We've got Hood. I'm not certain about Dreadnought, in all fairness. David is one of the experts on that. I genuinely don't know. I'm not absolutely familiar with all of the artefacts in the museum, because I'm the chair of the trustees. I don't know the artefacts, absolutely. David is the one, but the Hood stuff here, and certainly there will be a section on maritime history. That is the intention that there should be. Maritime is very important.
The Dreadnought hoax, I believe, was Virginia Woolf.
Oh, right.
The writer Virginia Woolf and a group of friends who came down when the fleet was in the bay and pretended to be Arabs and got shown around the ship.
That sounds like very Virginia Woolf to me.
Look it up.
Yes, I will do actually. That's quite
Dreadnought
fascinating. I'll have a look at
Dreadnought
that.
hoax.
Dreadnought hoax, right. I'll have a look at that. Have you met David,
We had a chat with
the
him
collections
when I came.
manager? Because he's the collections manager. So he manages all of the collection, the accessions of it, and the artefacts within the museum, making sure that they're stored correctly. Because, of course, what we've got here is a minute fraction of what the museum actually holds.
Okay.
So he's the one who really knows the artefacts. If you say something, have we got? Yes, we have, or no, we haven't. He can tell you.
Okay, well, thank you for your help.
You are very welcome indeed. Thank you very much indeed.
Hello, I'm David Riches and I'm the collection manager of the museum. The museum has recently been reconstituted in this part of Brewers Quay, and this is the arrangement now for the time up until 2020. In 2020, there will be a new museum space, much larger, with larger galleries, with a cafe and shop, and it will also have space for learning, for school visits, and it will have temporary exhibitions. One of the things it will feature is an exhibition about the brewery in the upper vat room, which features a considerable amount of original brewery equipment, and that will be supplemented with other brewery items in the collection. As we move down to the main galleries, there will in particular be quite a large maritime selection. We want to highlight how the Weymouth and Melcombe Regis developed as both a port and later as a seaside resort. And that will be a sort of major theme of our displays. One of the features that we consider important is that the museum should be available to people of all ages and all backgrounds. Particularly anxious that we cater for disabled people and other disadvantaged people. We want to encourage visits by schools and by other local organisations and become a major part of the culture available within the community.